Hello, and welcome back to It's a Small World, the podcast where we explore the strange, the thoughtful, the cultural, and the psychological. The ideas that sit somewhere between modern life, ancient wisdom, and the stories we tell ourselves about how to live. I'm Tanya.
And I'm Mitch.
And today we're talking about something that I think a lot of people feel but don't always have the words for. This episode is called Living Cyclically in a Linear World. Now, when you hear that phrase, what thoughts does it bring up for you?
To start off with, utter confusion. However, when you start looking at this information, all these challenges you set for us to research, rather curious, because you start looking at your life in two different ways, don't you?
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting. So the whole seasonal thing, we kind of get that with the fashion changes and, colder temperatures and snowy and all the rest of it in the summer. But then it's like what modern life actually looks like. Yeah. And are we leading a false life? Very curious content indeed.
Because it's kind of like life expects you to feel the same every day. And
Yes.
yet every day is not the same in the kind of the world that we're living in. So, I mean, do you ever feel sort of off? Do you have off days and you don't know why?
I do have off days, but I hadn't really thought about what it could have been causing it. I will be absolutely honest, because I am leading a different life to what I was when in my corporate life. You see. So I can't really answer that one.
No, because I mean, from what you were saying, it is true. I mean, modern life is very linear. It's all sort of deadlines, schedules, productivity, sort of hustle culture, and constant progress. But when you actually think about it, human beings don't really work like that. We work in rhythms, waves, energy shifts. I mean, I don't feel like my energy is ever sort of actually consistent. Do you think we're expected to ignore that, and just carry
that's an
on?
interesting one. I do believe in the whole we're living in a matrix and other people are controlling us. I'm totally into that conspiracy theory. And so are we therefore being managed in order to do the 9 to 5, turn up, be consistent, be controlled in many ways? I do kind of like a vibe with that, because since I've stepped out of that culture, I do feel as if I'm living a different life, and I feel as if I'm more in tune with the seasons now than when I was at work, even though seasonality does affect work.
Yeah, but you've broken free of that pattern of...
That pattern, yeah.
For example, 9 to 5. I know a lot of us work, longer hours than that, but it was, you went to work at 9 and you finished at 5, half 5, and every day it's the same hours, regardless of whether it's dark or light. And it kind of, when I was thinking about this program, it made me think back to I think it was our first episode about New Year resolutions. And every January we're told sort of New Year, New You. And we sort of spoke about it then. But now we're into March, and when we're recording this, it's a lovely sunny day. With that in mind now, do you think January is actually a natural time to reinvent yourself? Because
no, I think we should be dormant and sleeping and hiding away. I truly do feel, and I totally agree with you. It's a beautiful day out there, and I was chatting to a friend on the phone this morning, and it's joie de vivre. Everyone's happy, lovely, and bouncy, and motivated, and great stuff's happening, and that's brilliant. And so we do get massively affected by the seasons, and we're just not embracing it.
You do feel like you feel like doing more. And I know when you messaged me earlier, you said you'd been up quite early working.
Yeah.
Do you think that was because the morning was lighter, or was there any reason? Do you know what I mean? Do you just wake up at that time and start work generally, or was it?
No, several things there. My partner's having to go to work a lot earlier, so I'm trying to support him a little bit by getting up a bit earlier. And I got stuff on my mind, and the sun was shining through the windows, and I just thought, I'm going to get up. But I was awake and I was ready for it.
Yeah, that sun shining in does make you feel better in the morning, doesn't it? So you can see why we sort of get those sort of the lamps, like, I'm trying to think what you
sad lamps.
Sad lamps. Yeah, I have that one.
I mean, before this podcast, I got back from walking the dog, And I normally grab a coffee and come upstairs to the computer. But I just sat outside in the garden drinking my coffee, thinking, oh, this is so nice.
Yeah. They say you should do that actually, don't they? Get outside when you wake up, get out into like natural light and
Yeah.
But you just
It's
don't do it
just
in
the
the
tonic.
winter. It's too damp, it's too cold, you don't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean I feel like my energy is lower in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, I think evenings as well, when it gets dark, you kind of like, you're sort of winding down, whereas in the summer you can be out in the garden till much
Doing bits and bobs.
doing things.
I did putting some research together for this podcast. I actually did a bit of a graph for each of the industries I've worked in, right? So I did in my health and fitness industry, the highs and lows and all the rest of the peak, the busy seasons, and then I did the museums I worked in, and then I went and did the events business, and I do, and they all have different highs and lows of their busy seasons, and I just thought, gosh, if you could push those all together, I would have only been at a peak season 12 months of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about the original nature's clock? So you're going to get up early just because the sun's come up a little bit earlier in the morning time?
Probably. I will feel like getting up earlier and not sort of just crawling back under the duvet because it's dark and cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about that first episode and sort of New Year resolutions and goals. I did like that goal setting thing. And I was kind of looking back at whether I've actually achieved or even started any of the goals that I set myself. And looking at it, I mean, yes, we launched this podcast, which we'd been threatening to do. So we did that, and I'm very proud of that, and we're learning.
Absolutely.
So the learning aspect we're doing as well. Obituary, the other business, kind of just been at a standstill. I haven't finished the summer house, which I wanted to finish while it was colder, so it was there in the summer. Haven't done that. Haven't got back into the sort of exercise and diet because nobody fancies a salad in the cold today.
Exactly. It's true. It's true.
And we kind of almost think, oh well, I've failed. Do you know what I mean? I've not stuck to my resolutions. I've failed with that, and then we put ourselves down. And do you think a lot of people perhaps do that? They interpret it as failure when really it's just the wrong time of year to be doing it.
It's usually you start a resolution in January, by March you've failed.
Yeah.
Prime example of this, health and fitness clubs, used to work in it, payday in January would be actually rammed with people wanting to join gyms. By March, dropout was absolutely huge. And people do just think they've failed. And what we really should be doing is making those smaller, achievable steps and literally change with the seasons.
Yeah, and just look at it and think maybe it's just winter.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't be an instant growth. Leaves on trees don't go zing first day of March. Exactly. They appear gradually. Same with losing weight, changing your lifestyle. It's all a progressive thing.
Yeah. So linear versus cyclical thinking. Linear tells us that life should always be improving, more success, more progress, more output. Do you think that creates pressure, this idea that we should always be improving, going up, doing more?
Well, yeah, because that is the whole commercial world that we live in, isn't it? And consumerism, it's got more. Work harder, longer hours, earn more money, more responsibility, more accountability, more pressure. And it is just that upward journey until you burn out and drop out or die kind of thing. It's it is a consistent progressive, and if you're not progressing, you're therefore seen as or perceived as failure or stagnant.
Or lazy.
But you know what? You don't have to stay in your job. No one's keeping you there. You can always change. There is a world out there.
Yeah, as long as you're happy. So the opposite then, cyclical thinking, says something very different, that life moves in phases and that rest is part of growth. Do you think as a whole then that we've lost that idea that rest is actually part of the process?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Because I want to say, I think that it's the world, this commercial world we live in, just wants this consistent progression. Whereas at the oldie days, we would all do a bit of farming or land management, wouldn't we? You would get up in when the sun goes down. You'd often have 2 sleeps, and then the winter time, because you go to bed early and then you get up in the middle of the night because there's nothing going. Well, you wake up, don't you? You tend to the land, and the land sleeps during the winter time as well. So that's the time for maintenance. Farming, they stick to the natural cycles of things, don't they? They do their maintenance in the winter time, and then springtime is sowing and lambing and calving, and summertime's the main growing season, and then you're reaping your rewards at the end of the year, kind of thing. I think it's
you've made some interesting points, actually. So as you say, if you look at nature, nothing is constant. You mentioned trees, they don't bloom all year. The moon isn't always full, dark and light. So it's interesting why we expect ourselves to be on all the time, when the world and when nature isn't. I mean, do you feel more like yourself at certain times of the year or certain environments? Do you think you're
more like myself? I mean, more present. It's different for me because now that I'm kind of self-employed and stepped away from that thing, I'm seeing more. I'm experiencing more. Even doing all the training courses I've gone and done, I'm more present in what I do now from when I was in the commercial world. So I think I'm a different subject now. But when I was back in the whole museum industry, fitness industry, it was just fluorescent lights on, go, 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 go. And there'll be days when I would arrive in the dark and go home in the dark, or I would arrive in glorious sunshine, be freezing cold all day because of the air conditioning, and then go home in the dark, kind of thing. So false environments, and I'm sure that does add to the stress that people are.
I think we're both.
How about yourself?
Yeah, I think we're quite fortunate that life's plan or whatever it is has taken us on a route that we can plan our own day as such, So, I know I'm more of an evening person than a morning person. So I'll try and plan things a little bit later sometimes.
Yes, I noted that from the camping holiday. Once you got up to make the tea, but hey, you made the tea at night time. I'll take that one.
We did both fall asleep by the campfire, though.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. So daily cycles, Dan, have you heard of something called circadian rhythm?
Yes, I do. I've heard it's a little clock inside your head. And I'm sure different parts of your body have got them as well.
Yeah.
How's yours? Does yours tick loudly?
Some days. But I mean, even within one day, we're cyclical. We can have natural peaks and dips. And you mentioned earlier about afternoon sort of naps, afternoon slumps, if you like, where your energy just drops. And I think Spain, for example, they have siestas, don't they?
Siestas, yeah.
And I can see that. I mean, sometimes we'll sort of laugh at ourselves and say, "Oh, I've had a little nana nap." You get that slump. We refer to it as a nana nap, not restoring our energy or something. Yeah. The only thing against it, I would feel like I wouldn't want to go back to, if it was a shop, I wouldn't want to have a sleep and then go back to the shop floor. I'd be like, "Oh, I want to finish my day and then do something else." So but
no, I keep saying I'm kind of outside the industry. Retired people, my friend Sheila, when she's retired, and she's an active lady, but she has found that after dinner time she just sits down with a book and she just nods off a little bit. So is that her little clock just ticking in, going, do you know what, let's go back to natural, let's nature, and have a little power snooze and all the rest of it.
It's probably her clock saying now is the time to
but once again, she's actually, with her being retired. Now here's a question: have you ever actually fallen asleep at work?
Not to my knowledge. I have fallen asleep on a bus.
Yeah.
Going to work. But that was when I was like working very late and then starting very early. I don't think I've fallen asleep at work, to my knowledge.
I've fallen asleep and also had a little nod during a paranormal investigation.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, but I was it was a year we were burying the king and I was doing 1,000,001 jobs.
Ah,
and doing the investigations. And it just got to, it was in a dark area at Moira Furnace. And that was it. I was gone.
is
I
it
was
very good
absolutely
thing
gone.
you weren't physically there with a shovel? But
Yeah, I was the one leading the session, but I was there supporting, and that was it.
yeah,
I was gone.
I must
Yeah,
say, on a
but
paranormal investigation, I have at one point I think just sat on the stairs and thought I could have a nod.
yeah,
Um, Basically, I think when I was really tired, perhaps had a bit of a
yeah,
cold, and thought I could have a
yeah.
nod. And then you hear a voice go, "Is there somebody on the stairs?" Yes, just on my way up. It's not
Did
paranormal.
you hear that? Oh, it was a snore. Yeah, yeah,
um, but I think this is where burnout comes in sometimes because we've been taught that rest is weakness, and we're kind of conditioned to feel guilty for resting
yeah.
sometimes. I mean, what actually makes you feel rested? Um, do you ever sometimes even feel tired after sleep?
I can do, but I feel guilty if I'm not doing something. Even now in my different life, if I'm just not back to, I find it difficult to relax, and
Yeah,
I think that doesn't really help me at all. I think that's why I do get so very tired. Uh, yeah, it's guilt kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. Is
Is
that
that
thing where
something
you
you
sit there?
experience?
It's like the holiday thing, isn't it? You sit there and you try and relax and you think, oh, I should be doing this. I could be doing that. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
yeah.
yeah, it is
See,
hard.
when I used to work in the health and fitness industry, it was brutal hours. It was 60 hours a week, and it was stupid hours you do. And you pin everything on that 2 week holiday. And I would spend those 2 weeks fast asleep.
Yeah,
It's madness. That's not living at all, is it? And
yeah,
that just really freaks you out a little bit when you look back at what you actually put up with, thinking that was what was actually expected of you.
yeah. Now there is, and I'm trying to think who it was that said it or did a whole thing about it. I'll link it in the show notes. But there is actually different types of rest. Um, so it's not just sleep. There's mental rest, emotional rest, sensory rest, creative rest. Um, and I think we're all overstimulated, but we're
Mm-hmm.
underrested. Do you think then that our relationship with time is kind of broken?
Mm. I feel as if we don't give it the respect it needs. I think let me put it this way. On your deathbed, you're going to look back at your life, and are you going to say, do you know what? I wish I'd gone to work a bit longer. I wish I'd stayed and worked a bit harder. I wish I'd, You're not. You're going to go around, do you know what? I wish I had more time to myself. I wish I had,
Yeah,
set aside time for me because I'm allowed to be here. The organisation that I work for, do they give a monkeys about me now?
yeah.
Probably not.
As I've said
So,
before, I think in a
yeah,
podcast, we're replaceable, you
we
know.
are replaceable, yeah.
Um,
So I think it's our not appreciating that ticking clock. And there's a lot of our
yeah,
friends who haven't made it this far. And I do think we shouldn't wish
yeah,
away our lives or work away our lives. Should be
yeah.
a bit more present.
Yeah, we're not going to be on our deathbed, as you say, thinking, "Oh, I wish I'd not taken those holidays. I wish I'd not had those adventures." Um, you
It's
know,
quite the opposite, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. Um, Now, women, then there's another layer, especially for women, um, younger women. um, do you think then that women are expected to be consistent all the time as well, bearing in mind that women have their own cycles?
Hmm. That's an interesting one because you've got your career women, you've
Yeah,
got your women who've got families and careers, and the ones who've got families. So it's kind of like a different answer to each one, of which, unless you actually walked in their shoes, you don't know actually. For some, I think maybe we've had to work harder and be more consistent because we've got that, men v women things in the workplace, although I hope things has changed a little bit. But yeah, I do think it's that you just got to get on and deliver more. Maybe I
yeah.
don't know. I mean, if you've got a great working relationship with your partner, then that's brilliant.
But
But
biologically as
mhm.
well, um, you know, women, let's face it, I'm not being sexist or whatever here. Women will have mood swings.
Oh
Um,
God, yeah,
with their cycle, they will be tired, in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are expected to be the same person every day,
Yeah.
despite that. So biologically, emotionally, we're not designed for sameness.
No.
But
Yeah.
let's
Can I just jump in with a quick story here?
yeah,
A couple of years ago, I was contacted by someone I used to work with. They've gone on to run an establishment now, and they just wanted to have a private conversation with me for a bit of a management advice kind of thing.
yeah,
And he was talking about a lady who he was working with, who was basically, her performance had absolutely dropped off, and was becoming quite stubborn, and it was just a very angry working environment, and he didn't know how to handle it. And I just said to her, "Is she going through the menopause?" I don't know. I said, "You would know. You would know, Simon. Go back and check all this out." And that what was actually happening, because he hadn't realised, he hadn't taken on board
yeah,
what was happening to her and what she was going through. I mean, I never found out what the outcome was, but at least he was aware of. He hadn't seen it. Yeah.
yeah. I think. Well, I mean, I don't know because I'm not in a full-time employed job to know this, but I believe companies are a little bit more sympathetic about those things
Mm.
now.
Yeah.
Whereas many years ago, I just remember women sat at a desk with a fan, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and just get
Yeah.
on with it. Um, but yeah, so as I always say, this show isn't thrown together. It's planned.
We do some research.
And when it goes out, we are looking around the time. Yeah, we will have just had the spring equinox. Okay.
Yes.
As we've said, spring feels like a more natural reset than January. We seem to have more energy. Nature's waking up. There isn't the same forced change.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as you said earlier, leaves don't appear overnight, again, which is a
Oh,
good point. And I think that's a key point as well. And it also points to the fact that not all progress is visible. It's a gradual thing, isn't it?
yeah.
I mean, have you ever sort of noticed later then that you've actually achieved something, but you didn't at the time from that respect?
Yes. Yes. I have to say, usually at the end of the year, when I'm thinking about New Year's resolutions going forward, but I do like to look back and think, do you know what? I like to give myself a pat on the back now and again. You know,
Yeah.
if you went to a football match and no one cheered at all until the last minute of the last match of the season, it'd be a really boring thing to watch. So I do think you need to like celebrate your wins and successes, and to go to bed at night time. I always say to myself, what was the best thing that happened today?
Yeah, you should do that. It's
Yeah.
almost like journaling, isn't it? They say
Yeah.
you should look back over your day and pick what the best bits were,
Yeah.
because it kind of reinforces it in your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah. Even when I'm doing my little exercise, my 15 minutes kind of statics, kind of, if I go and do an exercise and I made it all the way to the end of the 30 seconds, I go, bloody hell, that was good. Well done, girl. Because I'm surprised I've done it. Yeah, it's a small win,
Yeah.
but it's celebrate it.
Yeah, we should celebrate small wins. So, do you think then, questions, do you think goals are too linear? We've kind of covered that, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we kind of put that in the resolutions thing. I think it should be an emotional change that you need, and if you want to do it, you're going to achieve it.
Yeah,
Not stats, not by standards or targets. It's what makes you feel good.
yeah. And do you think as humans, we are trying to live like machines?
I think we fall into the habit of living like machines. I
Mm,
think we're going to institutionalized very easily. Um, and I think the older you get, I think the more you might realize what the system is that you actually find yourself in. And if you've been in the same job for like 40 odd years, chapeau, you're going to get a good pension. But there's more outside there. What do you feel about that? Do you feel as if, I know you've had quite a few jobs as well. So you're like me, you get a different view of things.
yeah, yeah, I think we are almost like we're programmed to do one thing.
Mm.
I guess even from when we're little, you're born well, last week, last week we sort of covered the fact that you're not born with anything, but that you are born sort of with ingrained trauma, sorry. But from another respect, our brains are like computers, you know,
Mm.
and as we grow and learn from parents' education, your brain is being programmed to live a certain way, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah.
Um,
I can remember when I was sort of working in the health and fitness industry, and for those who've never worked in it, you will do earlies. It's a 7-day operation. You'll work till I know when the bars close at 11 o'clock at night. You are there at the weekends. You are there till close at the weekends. You are there on bank holidays. You are there all the time. That work becomes your social life as well, and you are in it, and you work so hard. And my parents just hate the fact I worked in the health and fitness industry because I wasn't doing 9 to 5 going out, going to work in an office 9 to 5. They could not cope with that at all. The fact that if you go to the shops at the weekend, someone's in the shop serving you, and you go to a restaurant at night time, someone's serving you. To them, it was you had to be in this box and do that. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Certainly is. Yeah.
I think life has changed a little bit. I think people are a little bit more open-minded to different shift patterns now, aren't they?
Well, yeah, the whole industry's changed. It's more of a service industry now, isn't it? It's not, our commerciality isn't Monday to Friday. It's about 7 days a week back on the internet. It's a 24-hour lifestyle now, isn't it?
Yeah, but we are compared to nature. Then humans are probably the most like machines. Because as we mentioned, tides, nature, lunar cycles, everything else isn't the same day to day, is it? As such.
No. I had an interesting chat with someone, and they were saying at the end of the day, you can turn your light on, you can just work, can't you? Yeah. And then someone else told me that wild birds are now changing their lifestyle because of the light pollution from the cities being on 24 hours a day. It's now affecting their
that's interesting.
their circadian rhythms as well, because they're now being awake 24 hours a day. Curious,
It is. It is. I mean, presumably we still get migration and stuff like that. Do they?
Yeah.
Does it change the times that?
I don't know. Actually, I was just owls they're referring to. Actually,
owls. Okay, so I think looking back then on what we've discussed, maybe life isn't a ladder. Maybe it's seasons, times to grow, times to rest, and times to begin again. If someone listening feels like they're behind, what would you say?
What do you mean behind?
Behind in things like we were saying, we haven't started our resolutions that we said we were going to do.
Oh, right. Right.
Yeah.
I would say if it hasn't bothered you so far, don't worry about it. Do it in your own time.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking about, just take shops, for instance, right? About planning and seasonality and all the rest of it, right? Start of the year, all your spring fashions, and you get your holiday clothes, don't you? And those always come in a chunk of time before the holiday season starts, isn't it? They want to get the pre-sales in. Christmas arrives near at the same time as Halloween does.
Before
so
August, isn't it?
So even those seasons commercially are kind of like ahead of where they fall in the calendar.
Yeah. And once Christmas is over, there's Easter eggs in the shop.
Exactly. So that kind of cycle has shifted, a few weeks, a few months out of sync to when it should fall.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And so I think if you're behind doing bits of don't worry about it. Catch up, doing your own time.
But I think that's got more evident in recent years. I mean, when I was little, Christmas was December.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And shops got stuff in December. Whereas now it does start August. Even Christmas food, is out September, October. So I think we'll get to the point where we'll just have seasonal aisles. They've got every season in them.
Yeah.
Around.
I was walking the dog the other day and someone said about the garden, and they just said, oh, my so-and-so's come out too soon. I'm thinking, well, it thinks it's the right time to start coming into flower, so they probably know better than you do.
That's a good
so
that's quite.
Is it a right or wrong time?
That's very philosophical, isn't it? Yeah. The bulbs choose their own time to bloom, so why shouldn't we?
Exactly. Let them get on with it. Yeah. Live your own path.
So when I was sort of choosing the subject for this week's podcast, I'm kind of reading Beth Campton's Sacred Seasons, and she's sort of talking about the fact that New Year should really be March, because that is when everything is waking up. I don't know, you perhaps know better than me why New Year is January. Who decided that? Do you know? We should
probably the Pope at some point. The Gregorian calendar had changed, didn't it?
Yeah.
And at the start of the years, and we lost a few days, which kind of freaked a few people out. Who knows? Because the financial year, that goes first of April.
Yeah. So, basically people shouldn't beat themselves up because they might just be in a different season of, to somebody else. So we are coming towards the end of the show.
Oh, right. Okay.
Again. So thank you very much to everybody that is listening to the podcast. If this episode resonated with you, share it with somebody that might need to hear it. And next week, we're diving into something very different.
Oh, do tell me, Tanya.
We're actually in some ways very connected because we're going to be talking about Wuthering Heights.
Wuthering Heights.
Obsession.
The film, the book, or everything about it.
Yeah, well, obsession, nature, and gothic passion.
Oh, that sounds like
bodice-ripping passion. So we're going to be exploring intensity, identity, wild emotion, and what happens when love becomes something darker.
All right. I can imagine a few confessions coming out in this podcast.
We'll see. So yeah, we're going to be looking at the book, the overall theme of it, the different versions of it. You've seen the most recent one, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely. That was very steamy.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Got quite a bit to
And of course, Kate, got to mention Kate. Yeah. The bush. Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah. So yeah, we've got a lot to say about that one. So make sure you join us next time. We'll see you then. Oh, are you gonna end?
I'm gonna end with, because become a more interesting person by listening to this podcast. And remember, the world is smaller and stranger than you think.
We'll see you then. This episode is called Living Cyclically. Living Cyclically. Living Cyclically. Living Cyclically. I'll probably have to edit this a lot because I can't say it properly.